Our first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for walking out of the delivery room while my fiancé was giving birth? This happened 2 weeks ago. My 28 male, fiancé, 26 female, and I just had a baby boy, and it's been difficult already without her being upset with me after what happened. I met her at a bar I used to hang out with my friends at. We dated for 8 months, and I decided to propose when she told me she was pregnant and wanted to have the baby. We both agreed on getting married after our baby is born. She was introduced to my family who welcomed her and took care of her, and she started spending time with them. I learned that she was engaged to her late fiancé for 4 years, but he got sick and passed away at a young age. She told me she had recurrent dreams about him. I wasn't upset because no one controls what they see in their dreams, but sometimes she mumbles his name and visits his grave on his birthday and still keeps their rings in our house. When she went into labor, I drove to the hospital to be with her, since she expressed to me how terrified she was after talking to her group of moms who had experience with labor/birth. Her labor lasted longer than expected. Her mom arrived when she was taken to the delivery room. She was feeling so much stress and even cried, which made it more difficult. I tried to reassure her and told her to think about our baby and just focus on that. She suddenly started screaming. First, she yelled her deceased dad's name, then let go of my hand and started yelling out her deceased fiancé's name and just continued to yell that name at the top of her lungs. I was shocked. I didn't know how to act. I was upset. I get she was feeling stress, but I don't get why she kept calling his name, till the point where the nurse wanted to ask me something and used the name my fiancé was calling out to call me, thinking it was my name. I was so embarrassed for having to correct her, as she looked confused. I tried to calm my fiancé down, but she continued, so I just walked out and told her mom to go be with her. I felt absolutely awful. I sat outside. I was literally shaking. She gave birth, and her mom walked up to me to give the news. I was happy my son was finally born. I went in to see them both for a short time before he was taken. My fiancé returned home and started berating me for walking out on her like that, and told me that what I did was unacceptable. I told her why, but she completely avoided this and tried to say that it didn't matter and that I was being ridiculous while she was feeling pain. We argued about it, and she brought up that she called out the names of the 2 most important people in her life, then went into the bedroom, leaving me feeling awful and guilty. She is expecting an apology and wants me to take her to stay at her mom's for a few days, since I was making her stressed out. And now for the top comments of this post. Wait, so her deceased fiancé is more important in her life than you, her current fiancé? Am I misunderstanding this? Not the a-hole. Current fiancé and baby. To be fair, she hadn't met the baby yet, and for all she knew, the baby would be a prick. Your fiancé is so wrong. She's projecting some serious guilt onto you, and do not take that crap. She has the unmitigated gall to be upset at you and has taken no responsibility for what she did/said. OP, you need to slow your roll on the wedding. Your fiancé is not over her ex. At best, you are a placeholder. At worst, a sperm donor. You had no way of knowing before the delivery date that she was this damaged. You know now. Tread carefully. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé is not over her ex. Seriously, I'm amazed at the "you're the a-hole" responses in here. She explicitly said to OP's face that her deceased ex-fiancé is more important to her than OP. She's wanting to go stay at her mom's house in disregard for me, wanting to spend time with my son and bond with him. I don't know if I should be saying this, but I think that she's punishing me by taking my son and refusing to stay, saying I should respect her wish of wanting to calm down and relax and spend time with family. I don't know if I was pressuring her, but she just won't let go of what happened and keeps blaming me. You know, I was ready to say everyone sucks here until I read she called out the names of the 2 most important people in her life. Solidly not the a-hole. If not for the baby, I'd be saying you should tell her to F herself. Because there's a baby, you guys need couples counseling and she needs individual. Rough situation, man. I hope it gets better. Not the a-hole. If it had seemed like she still wanted you there, then you would be the a-hole for walking out no matter how distressed or irrational she was. But at the point she is screaming her ex's name over and over, it genuinely seems like she didn't want you there or that your presence was upsetting her. You did the right thing to step out. What she threw in your face about him and her dad being the 2 most important people in her life was also incredibly cruel. Wanting to keep rings or photos from a deceased fiancé is completely understandable, but unfavorably comparing your living partner to the deceased one to your living partner's face is just a horrible, cruel thing to do. If there wasn't a baby involved, I would say to let her know that's completely unacceptable and you won't stick around if it continues. But man, a baby sure does complicate things. I don't know what to advise you, but I don't think the way your girlfriend is treating you is normal or healthy. She's idolizing the deceased fiancé. He'll never have another chance to make a mistake or disappoint her. He also can't make her happy or build a life with her, and she could do with some counseling to appreciate life with you and her baby going forward. Now let's get to our second story. Am I the a-hole for only paying for my biological siblings' college fund? So I, 19 female, was given a sizable amount of inheritance from my grandfather that I could use for whatever I wished for once he passed on. So when I turned 18, I received about 150,000 euro, and because of my academic scholarship, I don't have to pay for college. So after I invested part of the money and also put some away for a rainy day, I still had about 20 to 30,000 left over, and that's when my stepmother became involved. So, I have two siblings, one bio, 6, and one step, 8, and honestly have a good relationship with both, even though I don't get along with my stepmother due to reasons I would rather not say. So stepmother decided to invite a couple of neighbors over for a barbecue. So, the topic of school came up, and my stepmother had said she was making a college account for my little sister, Step, and I absent-mindedly asked about giving them both an equal amount of my granddad's inheritance, and her response was to transfer the money into her account, and she'll transfer the money to the reflective college funds. I found this really weird, and knowing my stepmother's history, I said I would like to do the transaction myself, so I knew it was fair on both kiddos, and she blew up. I decided to leave and left it be for a few days, and that's when I received a text from my stepmother asking when I was transferring the money to my stepsister's college fund, and that's when I reminded her I was giving equal amounts to both kiddos, and that's when she said they only put a college fund aside for my sister. And when I asked about my brother, she said that he has his own mother and family to set that up for him, and because of the amount they have to pay for his issues, ADHD, dyspraxia, and Asperger's, she didn't see why they should have to pay for his college. When I say I blew up, I mean I blew up and let out a lot of resentment when it came to us as kids, and how her favoritism shouldn't be tolerated in any way, shape, or form, and how disgusted I was at both her and my father that they were letting this happen. So, a few days rolled by, and that's when I decided all the money was going to be put aside for my bio brother's college fund and tests, when the harassment started from both of my parents because I was putting my sister's future at risk, which is utter crap, because they have over 10 years to save for her education. My stepmother has openly demanded for more money out of my fund, and I have and will refuse till furthermore, because that little boy deserves as much of a chance as my stepsister, and hopefully will for the future. I do kind of feel guilty, but I had to put him first because he's my little brother, and I love him, and he's not going to grow up thinking he's unloved because he's different. So guys, am I the a-hole? Let's read the top judgment of this post. Not the a-hole. You are making up for the unequal treatment of your brother. It's your money, and you can choose to do with it as you wish. Your stepmom sounds like a greedy, entitled a-hole. That's not how anyone should respond to someone's very generous offer. I've decided to give my brother $25,000 and my stepsister $5,000. She deserves more money. You're not happy with $5,000? Okay then, I've changed my mind. It's $4,500. And the more unhappy you are, the more the amount will change. It's entirely up to you. Not the best response to someone's greed, but arguably one of the more satisfying ways to shut someone down. Not the a-hole. And your stepmother could not be more obvious about her lack of trustworthiness. And regardless of what you decide to do for your sibling and step-sibling, do not put that money anywhere where your father or stepmother has access to it. Why not just create a college fund for your brother yourself? This way, you don't have to worry about your greedy stepmother having access to it, or pressuring your father for it. And tell your father and stepmother to fall over and die. You're under no obligation to help anyone with their college education. Not the a-hole. Do not give your dad or stepmom any money to handle. You can't trust them with your money. Instead, invest the money yourself, in your own name, with the intention that it could be used for your brother's future expenses as needed. We have a little update from Opie. Update. So everyone, I've taken a lot of your advice and I decided I'd share these thoughts with you. So I'm going to give about $25,000 for my brother's college/future, but this is going to be put in a trust fund till he's 18, which is going to be managed by myself and his grandmother. I've also decided I'd pay both his tuition directly if he does decide on college, while I'd advise him for rent/food/house expenses if he wants with the remaining money. I'm also going to specifically make sure parents can't take any of that income with the threat of a solicitor. Treat it as I come to it. The next thing I've decided, although controversial, is to put $5,000 aside for my sister, which she can get if she sticks to 2 conditions: doesn't share it with her parents, and treats both my brother and I with respect once she's 21, because her father also is in charge of her college fund, so I know she will have some money. I've officially decided my parents and I will not communicate unless it's about my siblings. Have agreed with my father. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to make my daughter act like a mother/adult? I will try to make this short and sweet. 4 years ago, we told our 27-year-old single mother, daughter, and grandson to come live with us so she can go to school free in our state due to us being vets. We said we would help with our grandson, now 5, until she got daycare set up. She dragged her feet for months, then knowingly took him to a drug addict. Once I found out, I refused to let him go back, and my husband and I said we wanted to vet the next sitter. It was over 2 years before my husband found a babysitter that was a really good one. She is amazing. Our daughter took a new job about a year ago and works swing shift, so now we provide all babysitting all the time. She works full-time with alternate weekends scheduled and goes to school full-time. She is gone most of the time. She doesn't contribute the money she saves in daycare to our additional costs of having our grandson full-time, taking him to all his appointments, and taking to/from school. I brought this up to my husband and he says that we don't babysit our grandson. We are spending time with him. I get what he means by that, but in the end, we do have him all the time. We can't go anywhere, just us. All of our trips over the last 2 years have been canceled due to her not having a babysitter to cover for the hours she is at work, and since it isn't inconveniencing her, she doesn't try to get a backup sitter. We had an international trip planned and she couldn't find a babysitter, so I recommended she take some vacation days to care for her son. She refused and threw a drama fit about how this is what family does, support each other, and my husband caved and canceled our trip, so once again, we could take care of her son. When she is home, she sits on her phone while her son just sits there watching TV, instead of taking him out back to play on the trampoline and fort that he has. I am fed up. I love and adore my grandson. This isn't about him. It's about our daughter being so codependent that my husband and I can't do anything in our retirement except watch our grandson. Every trip we had made, we had to take him with us. I told her that she has until June, when she graduates, to get her schedule changed to day shift and start taking him to the daycare we found. I also said she will need to start paying us the $400 per month she is saving on daycare to help offset our costs. She is pissed. She threw a fit saying she can't control what shift she is on, despite changing it for school, and I am purposely trying to make things harder for her. She is 31 years old now. She has never lived in her own, ever. She has either had us or her mom helping her raise her son. We take care of everything in the house. She literally just goes to work, school, and home. She has no household responsibilities. I do the cooking and cleaning. Am I the a-hole for trying to make her accountable for her son as a mother and adult? Not the a-hole. I'm pretty sure what you are doing is called being a parent and trying to encourage your kid to grow up. Honestly, you've probably been way too easy on her for way too many years, which has basically led to the problem you have now. But it's difficult when you got a young kid involved. I am a lot less compassionate when it comes to her because as a woman, I see what she is doing, the manipulation, acting like the victim, and playing on her dad's emotions. My husband has asked me to ease back because he is scared she will get butthurt, take off with our grandson, and we won't see him again. She can't live on her own. She has no idea, and anytime a guy gives her attention, she will bail on our grandson. It's really hard for me to keep my mouth in check. I have raised that girl since she was 10, and she is my daughter. I just hate what is going on. Your husband is enabling her to continue hurting her child. That poor kid is growing up knowing their mother doesn't even like them, feeling like they're just an inconvenience when their mother throws a fit over having to take care of them. That kind of scar lasts a lifetime. This is why people need to stop having kids they don't even want by their own actions. Don't get me wrong. She loves her son, no question. She just lacks the maturity to put him first. Her only responsibilities are work, school, and her son in that order. Not the a-hole. You aren't babysitting or simply spending time with your grandson, you are raising him. Your daughter needs to grow the hell up. She chose to have that child. It's her responsibility to make sacrifices for them and smile while doing it because they are for her child that she chose to have. You need to stop enabling your daughter's bad behavior at this point. Can you help? Absolutely. But you shouldn't be responsible for everything to the point your vacation gets canceled because she can't be bothered to be a mother after choosing to be one. Thank you for the feedback. Everyone sucks here. You've definitely been enabling her for a long time, and you shouldn't have caved to her drama fit that led you canceling your international trip. Tough luck for her, but she needs to grow up. And that's our video for today, guys. As always, leave your comment below and don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.
Would I be the a-hole if I sign away the right to my kids? I am a single mom of 2 wonderful boys. I honestly feel lucky about how they've turned out. They're both giants for their age, but so kind and sweet. I share custody with my ex-husband, Drew. We've been divorced for 5 years now. Every year, it's becoming harder and harder to support us. It's all my fault, and I don't know what else to do. I was with my husband for 14 years, married for 11. We got married relatively young and had kids soon after. I remember the last couple of years feeling trapped in my marriage. Life became very monotonous and boring. I felt resentment for missing out on my youth and not being able to join my friends on night outs. Drew and I grew apart. We neglected us, or maybe I neglected him, and he stopped trying. Who knows, but it certainly wasn't exciting. All these feelings built up in me until one day I told him I wanted a divorce. I couldn't imagine living another month like that, let alone the rest of our lives. He pleaded for us to try to work it out, maybe go away somewhere. But once I said it out loud, I felt like I had a purpose. Once he realized there was no going back, he said we should split amicably. I'm not proud of the way I acted back then. I got a lawyer and went through with it. In the end, we split the assets, including the proceeds from the sale of the house, evenly and shared custody of the kids, just like he offered. I got child support, only $19 more per month than he initially offered. No alimony, and a pile of attorney's fees. The first few months after the divorce was great. I had a good support system, plenty of babysitting options as everyone was trying to be supportive. Friends took me out, keeping my mind off things and helping me make up for lost time. But after a while, the help dried up. Everyone became busy with their own problems. It was much harder to make ends meet on a single income. The apartment I rented was a big downgrade from our house. I was tired all the time. Whenever Drew had the boys, I would just end up watching TV and lying around instead of going out. I've had one semi-serious relationship, but it's extremely hard to meet men who are serious about building something. Drew became very distant. I've heard of co-parenting situations where exes get along great. Not Drew. He'd never responds to my texts, unless it's about the kids. As the boys get older, they're enrolled in 3 sports each, and there are more and more expenses. I can't afford to buy them everything they need, not even half of it. Last month, I finally talked to Drew about it. I asked him to be more involved in their lives, especially financially. Drew flat out refused to contribute the cent more beyond child support and what he pays for when they're with him. I explained that I simply can't keep up with everything. He finally said they're welcome to stay with him full-time, and he'll cover all their expenses and be wholly responsible for them if I give him full custody and sign away my rights. He said I could still see them whenever I like, but I wouldn't have any legal rights. I know the boys would love to live with him. They're too nice to say it outright, but it's obvious that dad is the favorite parent. Am I the a-hole for even considering this? Would I be the a-hole if I went through with it? Edit? To answer some questions people have, yes. I have tried to talk to Drew about modifying the custody agreement. He refused any change to our current arrangement unless I sign away my rights. I also talked to Drew about increasing child support and told him I'd go to court. He said, "Go ahead, you'll end up with less." After last time, I'm very hesitant to go down that road. I don't want to tell the kids to drop an activity they love because I can't afford it. Now for the top comments. You don't sign your rights away. You can legally give him full custody with visitation. Then she also better be prepared to fork over child support. You're the a-hole. Why would your ex talk to you about anything other than the kids? He's your ex. Of course kids cost money. Get a second job if you need more money. Instead, you're looking to build a serious relationship with someone. Really? It sounds like you just want to dump your kids on your ex and pretend you're a teenager again. It sounds exactly like this. I realize that every situation is different, but if the dad pays half the expenses and child support and she still can't make ends meet, it sounds like she may not be working. In this situation, you have to find a source of income. Also, I agree she sounds like she wanted to relive her youth, but figured out she couldn't just go back in time and regrets it now. Why is she texting her ex about anything other than the kids? Sorry if this is harsh, Opie, but you can make this work if you're able to get a job to supplement the support you're receiving. Even if it's difficult, it's easier than giving up your kids, or at least it should be. He only talks about the kids. What do you think co-parenting is? You chose to divorce him. You don't get to have him act as your husband just because you feel lonely. You need to get over yourself. And maybe you're right in thinking your kids will be better off with their father. I think this happened because Opie lawyered up and played hardball, only to get a predictable amount of child support. It has made the ex resentful, and rightly so. I deal with someone at arm's length if they were unduly litigious with me. Yeah, sounds like Dad already punched the numbers into the state's website and thus offered her what the state would order. She instead got greedy and went to a lawyer in order to get more than what the state says she should get, as well as alimony. Lawyer knew they wouldn't get more, but happily went along in order to get billable hours. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling off my wedding after my fiance's surprise gift? So I, 30 female, have been engaged to my fiance Mark, 32 male, for about a year, and we've been together for 3 years. I've always known Mark to be a bit unconventional. He's very creative and sometimes takes things a little too far in the name of surprise or excitement. Most of the time, I love his adventurous spirit, but this time, not so much. A couple of weeks ago, we had a small get-together with some close friends to celebrate our upcoming wedding. Mark mentioned he had a surprise for me, which I figured would be something sweet, like a heartfelt gift or maybe a romantic gesture. As the night went on, after a few drinks, Mark finally revealed his gift. He pulled out what looked like a box from a special jewelry store. My heart raced with excitement. I assumed it was a lovely bracelet or a special memento for our wedding day. But when he opened the box, I was absolutely stunned. Inside was a key to a house he had supposedly bought for us. I was taken aback because I had no idea he was even looking for a real estate. My first reaction was one of shock and confusion. I thought this was a huge decision that we should have discussed together. As I processed the moment, I realized the house wasn't just any house. It was a fixer-upper on the outskirts of town. While I understand that fixer-uppers can be a great investment, this particular house needed a ton of work, major renovations and repairs. Frankly, I had no desire to live there. Mark hadn't consulted me at all before making this purchase, and I felt blindsided. Normally, I would be overjoyed about investing in our future together, but the fact that he made such a significant commitment without involving me crushed me. I quietly took the key and told him we needed to talk. As we stepped outside, I expressed how hurt I felt that he had made such a big decision without discussing it with me first, and that it felt like a violation of trust. Mark got defensive and insisted that this was a wonderful surprise, a way for us to start our lives together. He said I was missing the bigger picture and that I should be excited about our future. Honestly, I just felt overwhelmed and confused. I told him I didn't think we were ready for this and that we should focus on our wedding first. After a heated argument, I made a gut-wrenching decision to call off the wedding. Mark was devastated and our friends were shocked. I had just ruined what was supposed to be a happy night and I've felt horrible. Since then, Mark has been trying to reach out, saying he wishes we could talk it over, but I can't shake the feeling that he disrespected my feelings and my input in our relationship. I've been reflecting on whether I overreacted. Am I the a-hole for calling off the wedding after a surprise gift? Not the a-hole. Making a major life decision without you isn't a good way to start a marriage. It also sets a precedent for the marriage. Not only is it a surprise house, it's a surprise fixer-upper. That's not even a gift, it's a job. I don't think anyone would assume their partner would want to be left out of such an important choice. And most likely she wasn't on the title if he already purchased it, not the a-hole. That was my takeaway too. He buys it himself and it is not marital property. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if he bought the house without you, then it's in his name. He's the sole owner, but he wants you to help pay for the renovations? Nope, bad move. If the marriage fails, it's still his house, and you'll be left with nothing. This, buying a surprise house before marriage, means it is his house. It's a classic tactic of manipulative partners to secure assets in their own name before marriage, then use their partner's contributions to improve those assets without giving them any ownership rights. Not the a-hole. Terrible judgment on Mark's part. But the real problem here was his response when you pointed out the obvious. He argued with you. The light bulb didn't go on for him that you don't make decisions like this without your partner. This is a sign that he'll surprise you with a new puppy, his brother moving into your house, or quitting his job to take out a loan for a family business, and then argue with you when you say it should have been discussed first. Plus, a fixer-upper sounds hideous. Exactly. Mark didn't just sign Opie up for a huge financial obligation she never asked for, but for a chaotic, messy life in a fixer-upper. Not everyone is excited by that. He took away her autonomy and demanded she be excited about it. My heart would have sunk, just like Opie's. Not the a-hole, and maybe this was just the wake-up call Opie needed. Next story. Would I be the a-hole if I leave the state, abandoning my family? I, 25 female, moved 3 hours away from home to live with my boyfriend, who was fortunate enough to land a government job, and 2 of our other friends about 3 months ago. This move was largely due to my mom, 61 female, consistently taking most of my money, leaving me with almost nothing to my name. She had surgery on her back this morning, so I took off work and returned home for 3 days to help her and take care of my high support needs autistic twin brother, 25 male. My 2 aunts, Amy 63 female and Beth 69 female, and I were all under the impression that my mom would be discharged tomorrow morning. However, after the surgery, the hospital informed Aunt Amy that my mom wouldn't be released until the day after, due to the high level of pain she's experiencing. The issue is, I am due back at work that morning at 9 a.m. The day before her surgery, my mom dropped a bombshell on me. She said I owe her $6,000 before she will take her name off the car we co-own. I was 17 with no credit when it was first purchased, and the down payment came from my dad's life insurance. Between this demand, rent, and my upcoming car insurance payment, I cannot afford to take more time off work. Both my mom and aunts are calling me selfish for needing to go back home to work. They're insisting that I call in and request emergency family leave, which, to my knowledge, isn't an option at my company. They want me to stay and care for my brother. While it's true that he legally cannot be left alone, he attends a day program from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. 4 days a week, including the next 2 days. This means my aunts would only need to watch him for part of the day. I even offered to leave later in the day that I'm comfortable with, as driving in the dark in my new area is challenging for me. But this was also seen as not enough. I feel conflicted. While I don't want to potentially leave my brother without proper care, my aunts have already admitted they don't want to stay overnight with him. Aunt Amy refuses to stay at our house because of the puppy my mom recently got, while Aunt Beth claims she'll get sick if she spends too much time around my brother, citing the number of people he interacts with. At the same time, I have a life I'm working hard to build, and I can't afford to jeopardize my job and financial stability. So would I be the a-hole if I go back home to work and leave my brother in the care of my aunts for a day? Now for the comments. You have two aunts who can step in until your mother goes home. Go back to your new life. You will not be the a-hole. It's time your mother understands you are moving on. You're right. It's time for your mom to understand that you're an adult with your own life. You can't be responsible for her and your brother all the time. Your aunts are adults too, and they need to step up. You're not abandoning your family. You're taking care of yourself. You've got a job, a life, and a future to build. Don't let them guilt you into staying. You're not the a-hole here. Not the a-hole. Your mother has stolen more than enough from you. I don't even know why you would go back to help her in the first place. Seriously, this sounds like a lifetime of nightmares and abuse. Cut her off. Give the car back. Make a break. I have obligations that I cannot and will not set aside. Mother is forcing me to pay back my car deposit and is holding it hostage until I do. And since she took the majority of my earnings when I lived with her, I have no savings. The money I earn pays my rent and bills. I will not be staying to help because I have a responsibility to myself first, and then to my roommates who rely on me to pay my share of rent. I will not be staying. There are two of you. Figure it out. Aunt Amy, the dog isn't that big of a deal. Deal with it. Aunt Beth, wear a mask if you're concerned about getting sick. Those are my suggestions. Then leave. Last story. Am I the a-hole for having another kid and not spending enough time with my daughter? I, 29 male, serve in the U.S. Air Force and currently live in the U.S., but my 7-year-old daughter lives in Switzerland with her mother. Her mother and I met when I was stationed there, and our daughter was born during that time. When my assignment ended, I had to return to the U.S., and we agreed that our daughter would stay in Switzerland, as her mother could provide a more stable environment. For the past 3 years, I've been in a relationship with my girlfriend, and we recently welcomed a baby boy, who is now 3 months old. While I'm thrilled about having another child, my daughter has been struggling with the changes. I visit my daughter a few times a year and video call her multiple times a week. We've always been close, but since I told her about the baby, she's been acting out. During our calls, she's distant and often refuses to talk about anything. When I visited Switzerland recently, she was cold, avoided spending time with me, and said things like, "You don't love me anymore," and "Your new baby is your real family now." Her mother has also told me that she's been misbehaving at school, getting into trouble, and becoming increasingly withdrawn. Her mother blames me for her behavior. She says our daughter feels abandoned and replaced by the baby, and that I was selfish for having another child when I already struggled to spend enough time with her. She argued that I should have focused on strengthening my bond with our daughter instead of starting a new family. I've tried to reassure my daughter that I'll love her just as much as ever. During my visits, I've spent one-on-one time with her and try to make her feel special. I've also suggested bringing her to the US for an extended visit so she can see where I live and meet the baby on her terms. Her mother thinks this isn't enough and says our daughter needs more from me now, not later. Balancing everything has been incredibly hard. My Air Force duties are demanding, and while I've done my best to stay connected, I know it's not the same as being there in person. At the same time, I want to be present for my girlfriend and our baby, who also need me. Am I the a-hole for having another child and not being able to spend as much time with my daughter as she needs? This is complicated. You're not an a-hole for having another child, but your daughter is a child who misses having a full-time father. Seeing that her brother will have a full-time dad when she doesn't hurts her deeply. Ideally, you would live in the same country or city so you could be as present as possible. Annual visits and video calls can't replace the day-to-day presence of a parent. Honestly, I don't know what the solution is for your situation. Exactly. Kids internalize this so much. My guess is she doesn't see this as the situation being complicated because he can be a full-time dad, just not to her. Man, it sucks for the poor girl. My question is, why are there 2 kids and 0 commitments? It's like you have no clue that condoms exist. You knew you weren't going to stay in Switzerland, but you decided, hey, I'll just go have unprotected sex with anyone, and if she gets pregnant, then whatever. Now you're back in the States doing the same thing. Are you going to do the same thing at the next place that you are stationed at? You are most definitely an a-hole. Your daughter is 7, and you never thought about how having a part-time dad would affect her until now? You're the a-hole for not coming up with a real plan all this time, and for having another baby before resolving the issues with your first child.